lot heading into this fall camp, as we talked about throughout fall camp. It's only a couple days so far, but what have you seen from each of the guys?
They've done a lot of good things. I think they both have kind of come into it with an attitude of competition, and that's exactly what we want. We want those guys to, we want them to know it's a competition, but at the same time, they need to play freely and just be themselves and compete. That's a huge thing that we talk about throughout our program, whether it's between the third and fourth, rover, or the fifth and sixth kicker, or whoever it is. We want to compete, and they've done a lot. They've done a lot of good things.
What makes each of those guys ready to be a starter today?
Nothing today. That's the beauty of it. We don't have to play yet, and we're in no hurry. We don't have to name a starter next Tuesday. We have to get ready for game one, and we have our practices kind of orchestrated in a manner that hopefully that's the apex for everybody, including that position. But we just want them to prepare. Each day is a new day. We're installing stuff that's new for a lot of these young guys, brand new, and they're going to make a bunch of mistakes. And then how does that guy react is important just in terms of taking care of the football. But there's no deadline other than just getting better every day. It is that boring.
We've seen Brian obviously a little bit last year. We got some game film on him, so to speak. Marcus we've only seen in the spring games.
Right.
What's different about the two?
Wow, what's different about two? Well, I think Marcus's kind of introduction to Duck fans was that spring game, and for him that's something to build upon. And Brian had some solid time for us in games last year, and that's his kind of his background to build upon. But both of them are very similar guys. They're plenty enough arm, a lot of speed, smart, tough guys they're building into better and better leaders. They've already done a much better job just in terms of that, which we talked a lot over the off season of just taking command and running the show. And I think they're both they're both very well liked guys on the team, and that's important in that position too.
Chip yesterday didn't discount the idea of a two-quarterback system. He said that anytime there's been a competition, it's always figured itself out. But he's not opposed to the idea.
Yeah.
What's your thought of a two-quarterback system?
We need to score. We need to score. We need to take care of the ball, and however we manage to get that done we can get that done. I've been places where we've used two quarterbacks, and been places where we've used one quarterback, and it usually does kind of take care of itself, and one guy, for whatever reason, steps up, or his play steps up and makes a decision for us. But we'll see. Again, that's not something that we're sitting at home or sitting in the office every day worrying about. We're just going to play it out just like any other position.
Let's switch gears a little bit here. D'Anthony Thomas, if you had one word to describe him as a football player, what's that one word?
Electric. The guy is he's special. He's a hard-working, tough, fun, electric football player. He's fun to coach. He's fun to be around, and I'm glad he's on our team. Very, very much so.
Josh Huff seemed to have a very different demeanor and carried himself very differently yesterday at media day. He seemed more mature, and he said that last year there were times when he felt like he was at the lowest of the low, dealing with the injury and whatnot, and just the disappointment of high expectations and not quite getting to that point. What kind of difference have you seen in terms? He said he had to rededicate himself. Have you noticed the difference from Josh Huff of last year, aside from the injury?
Yeah.
Josh Huff for last year to Josh Huff in camp now?
Yeah, Josh is a very he's a great guy to be around. He's a very sensitive guy, but at the same time a very tough guy. And those guys kind of, when something happens, whether it's something that they think they're superhuman growing up being a young guy, and a sprained ankle gets the best of them, or whatever the malady may be, or they're just not playing as well or as much as they'd like to, that hits home with guys. And I think he has had a rededication just from a mental standpoint. He's a smart guy, really good leader. Again, a guy that is a respected guy on our team, and does have a little pep in his step, and has made a bunch of plays already in camp.
Maybe with a combination of the disappointment from last year with the injury and the off-season incident a couple months ago, do you notice a difference in his maturity level?
I don't know. I think again he's a pretty mature kid. He's a guy that I think is an introspective type of guy, but is looked to be a superstar immediately. And again, when those guys when that doesn't happen fast, fans are like, what's wrong with this guy? And then as soon as that happens, then maybe they wonder what's wrong with me. And I think I've always thought of him as a fairly mature kid, but there's so many of these guys, they're 18, 19-year-old kids, and grown men's bodies that everybody expects to you know, be superhuman in every possible way, and a lot of them are. A lot of them are. But you know, we got to give them a chance to grow up and do their best in all facets. But he's a guy, again, very well-respected guy. I love that kid. I love Josh Huff.
Obviously, you'll have a big say in this, but what role can we envision seeing D'Anthony Thomas in this year? That's been the big topic. You know, is he going to get more carries? Is he not? He said he's put on some weight, hasn't lost the speed. What kind of role do you envision having D'Anthony?
I envision the ball being in his hands, you know, and that's something that guy, again, he's just so dynamic at every position, whether it's a returner, playing some tailback, playing some receiver. But yeah, he's a guy that with the ball in his hands, hopefully.
Thanks, Mark.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Yep. Take care.
You too.